So I'm just going to hit start. And basically, my computer starts when you're like, you look like you're about 3 or 4 strides away from the jump. So I'm going to hit it now. Okay, so you just jump the first fence, and obviously it looks like a little bit of a handy course or an equitation course. Is that what you're doing, a little handy course here?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to back it up again because I want the first fence was good, and in the second fence you can see that he gets a little bit behind your leg.
Yeah.
And that's where you have a little chip there. Okay, so you're about 4 strides away, instead of coming forward, he does a little chip there because it was either going to be too long or you needed to slow down to make it a little shorter, right? So that's what we call a chip or a little miss.
Yeah.
And then good turn. And then he got a little quick through that in and out on you and kind of took off. So let's back that up again so we can watch that again. So if you watch it, when you make your turn, you're coming out of your turn nicely, and he jumps in well, but then he takes that quick stride and kind of gets you left in the tag.
Yeah.
And then down the line, which I know you've probably heard this, down the line, after he got long coming out of the in and out and got what we would call quick, on my card I would put quick, he took off a little bit down the line and he shifted right and then he swapped his leads in the line.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when a pony, on a long line like 7 or 8 strides, if they swap their lead down the line, I'm not too hard on them as opposed to when they swap a lead right in front of the jump.
Mm-hmm.
But because he swapped a lead because he was getting quick on you.
Yeah.
He almost took off a little bit there, didn't he?
Yeah.
So there obviously that would be, you have to put something down on the card to remind me that he got quick and swapped his lead there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue coming around the corner now. Here's the big problem right here. He's cross-cantered.
Yeah.
Right, so he missed that lead. Okay. And he fell in on with his left shoulder and didn't get that lead, and then cross-cantered all the way to this jump. And that becomes a major, honey. That's a major problem.
Yeah.
And then he kind of got a little strong down this line, and both jumps he didn't really use his front end very well because he was in too much of a hurry.
Yeah.
He jumped the corner fence a little off balance, cross cantering, and then pretty good there, a little quiet, but he jumped it fine and jumped well there. So if I was to analyze the whole round, I think do we have another jump here? Okay, no. If I was to analyze the whole round, it's basically it looks like he needs to be quieter, which I'm sure you know that.
Yeah.
When I look at the type of pony he is, he's a nice type. And size-wise, you look great on him, and your turnout is beautiful. And so basically, my suggestion would be that he just has to be made a little quieter because I think if you was at a horse show, you probably would do that. Where at home, he's just a little fresh by the looks of it.
Yeah.
And he just needs to, So if we were to talk about scores, because the major thing that he did was he missed that lead. So he crossed Canada on the top of the ring. So that automatically puts you in the 60s. Okay, so now you're kind of in the mid-60s, and with the chip, you'd probably be, the score that I would give you, and being a little quick, would be anywhere between 60 to 65 in that range, because there's the 3 major problems we have. The major problem, obviously, the cross-canter, the getting quick down the line, swapping the lead, and then the little chip is your least of your problems on the second fence.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I would analyze that particular course. As far as your riding, I thought you did a really good job. The only time that you got a little bit of trouble is when he jumped in the in and out and he scooted out on you, and you got caught in the air. If you watch yourself, you get a little caught in the air. Not really left behind, but a little caught. You really weren't with him, you were behind him, but that's more because he kind of jumped out from underneath you. I don't think you expected to scoot out like from underneath you like that. So that kind of, as far as your riding, your motion wasn't really with him. You got caught a little behind the motion. Everything else, I thought you did a really good job. Are there any questions you want to ask? You can ask me questions about anything. About this round, about riding in particular, anything.
Okay. So, first question I have is, how do you keep your legs still when you're jumping and riding?
Well, the lower leg is our base of support. So whenever, as a teacher, whenever we're training, getting young riders to start with their position, learning the correct position, the first thing I would do is you've got to remember your heel depth is like your shock, your shock.
Yeah.
Okay, not your knees. So when you see riders pinching their knees, they're going to lose their lower leg. And what you always have to think about is that your ankles are your shock absorbers. So it's very important when you get in the tack. What I always do with the kids is you get in the tack, and the first thing you do is you go up into your 2-point and let your legs like kind of bounce your heels down. Like practice getting those heels down and that ankle nice and bouncy in the shock absorber. And then just with your toe out ever so slightly, that brings your calf on. Then what you can do is you can even at the walk, stay up in your 2-point and practice getting yourself stronger. If your mom or your trainer was to take your lower leg and pull it back, what are you going to do? You're going to fall forward, aren't you? Because actually you've lost the base of support. If they take your lower leg and push it forward, you're going to fall back. Okay, so right there, just by doing those two little exercises or those two little movements, shows you how important that base of support is. And the best way to get it stronger, is by going up in your 2-point, practice walking and trotting in your 2-point, where you can hold yourself up. If you're falling back, then obviously your lower leg is not, your base of support, your lower leg needs to be stronger. And that's just practice for them. That's just getting up in your 2-point practice. I've given kids lessons where we did the whole lesson in the 2-point, where we walk, trot, canter, hold, little X's, all, we call it the jockey lesson. And just for fun, the whole lesson, they'd stay up in their 2-point, so they were exhausted. Just the whole exercise, just an exercise. When I've had people say to me, do you like the 2-point position or the half seat, what's called the half seat or the full seat? I like an educated seat. So I don't say that I want you always in the half seat, always in the full seat, or always in the 2-point, always in the 3-point, whatever you want to call it. I like an educated position because when you're on course, especially with a green pony or a green horse, you're certainly not going to be up in your 2-point when they're looking at a jump or getting a little spooky, because that's going to put you in a very compromised position. So obviously that's when you would drop back into your 3-point or your full seat so that you can guide them or stay a little bit behind them or keep them on track at a fence that they're maybe going to spook. Same with the equitation. There's lines where it's a steady 5. You've got to be in your tack, steady 5, or around the corner you can lighten your seat up and gallop a little bit in your 2-point. So to me, the rider has to learn both positions and be very comfortable in both positions, because that's what I call an educated seat or an educated position. But as far as that lower leg, it's just an exercise of just staying up in your 2-point and practicing, and of course the old practicing without stirrups, which is not always fun, but riding without stirrups gets your lower leg a lot tighter. Now when your pony misses the lead at the top, basically what the kids have to remember is they have to come off the inside leg. So that's what is very important as a rider to learn leg yields. Even at the walk, make your pony inside leg move to the outside. Left leg move right leg move. Those are called leg yields. All right. So that as they get to the corner, if your pony has landed up after the in and out, and after that line where he scooted, that's when you needed to have your inside leg on to make him stay off. Because you notice he drops his shoulder, changes in front, and doesn't change behind. And you can kick all you want with the outside leg, but if their hips to the outside and their shoulders to the inside, they're going to cross canter.
Yeah.
All right, so basically what he has to learn to slow down after he landed after a line like that. Slow down, inside leg, move off your outside leg, and then of course, move off your inside leg, and then your outside leg would ask for the lead change. That's the cue for them to change. But they need to learn the leg yield. They need to learn to come off that inside leg and be on a bend, be around your leg in order to get a proper lead change. If they're falling in on you or getting quick or losing their balance, they're going to stay on the cross canter or even the outside lead. Now, some of the kids have said to me, well, what's the worst? Well, obviously the best is the proper lead change, okay? So that, obviously, that's the best score. If they're going to counter canter around, if they don't, some ponies don't lead change, and they stay on the counter canter, that's still bad. I mean, that's still not correct, but it's better than cross canter.
Yeah.
So it's silly to say what are the best. Obviously, lead change is the best. Then the counter canter, which we don't love, but that can give you a 67. Then the cross canter is under 65, and the trot or the skip change is 55. All right, so does that make sense to you? That's kind of how you would be scored.
Yeah.
Now, when training, then I've had children say, well, what about so they shouldn't learn to cross canter or around the corner. Absolutely. When you're training them, then it's important that they come back to the trot, slow down, trot, canter. So the pony learns that it has to be on the inside knee. But that's training. Unfortunately, a score of cross cantering or on the outside knee is a better score than trotting. Doesn't make sense, but that's just the way it is. Because when you're training, obviously you don't want to encourage your pony to cross canter. Just unfortunately, when it happens, even though it's a low score, it's better than a 55, which is a trot. So a trotter is given them. Well, I've given some of those ponies they do that little skin change so unbelievable that it's not a lead change, but sometimes I'll give them a 60 just because I like the pony every other way. But if they trot, it's an automatic 55.
Yeah.
So does that make sense to you? Any other questions?
I have 3 more.
Sure. Ask away, honey. You've got me on the phone. Ask away.
How do you keep your hands still and your eyes up over jumps?
Well, that's a lot. Your hand, your eye. That's 2 questions, right? Hand. How do you keep your hand still and eyes up? Is that what you're saying? Those 2 questions. Okay. So
it's supposed to be one, but I guess it's.
Okay. Well, we can address both of them. So as far as a rider's hand, to me, there always should be a straight line from the elbow down to the horse to the pony's mouth, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's your communication. Those reins are your communication. All right, now, what we want to always make sure is that we have our hand, I like to see a rider's hands just above the withers. The withers and down the front leg are kind of the center of gravity. So when you get up with your body, when your body gets ahead of the withers, then you're too far forward. If they get way back, then you're a little behind the motion. So when you're in your 2-point, if you were to watch a video of yourself when you're galloping around in your 2-point, your shoulders should be in line with the pony's withers. Therefore, your hands can be just slightly in front of the withers. I always say just about where the martingale strap is, or slightly in front. So that way you're always with the motion. Of course, keeping your hands still is practice. Making sure your reins are short enough so that your hands don't slide way back towards your tummy. And, always feel like you're following the pony's mouth. We have kind of, there was a little bit of a fad of the 2-point, which I think could have, the crest release. So by following and putting your hand on the pony's neck, that helps you keep your upper body balanced, and that's fine. But as you evolve as a rider, you're only 10, but as you evolve as a rider, you eventually want to have your hands independent where you follow their mouth. I don't like that. It's very trendy now in the equitation where the riders kind of do this rotation release, and to me, it's not a good release. I really like to see, especially in the hunters, where the horse gets the relief of the mouth, so the rider follows the pony's mouth or the horse's mouth to give them the release. As far as your eye, that again is practice. I always say to the riders, look at the top of the jump, not the bottom. Obviously, when you're carrying poles, it's a little harder. But when you're doing jumps, I hear trying to say, look beyond, look past the jump, look past the jump. That's just an exercise. To me, when you're going to a jump, you're looking at the top rail because that's depth perception. Okay, that you've got to know how whether to slow down or to speed up, and it's like riding your bike. When you're riding your bike and you're going to go turn the driveway, you're looking at the driveway and judging when to turn the bike. You're not looking down the road because you'll miss the, what I'm saying? You need to look where you're going. You need to look at the jump because that's your depth perception. And as far as eyes up, it's just the practicing. When you jump, as you're jumping that fence and you know where you are, then look down the line to the next jump, so that you know how to ride a straight line. And then as you're jumping, the ox are coming out of the line, you're looking into your corners so that you can practice your corners. So you're already in your mind thinking inside leg, hold my pony out, and planning your track. It's really important that you look ahead and always think about the track, or exactly the track that you're going to be going, whether it's half turns in the equitation or half turns in the handy. You're always planning your track with your eyes.
Yeah.
Okay? Anything else?
How not to post at the canter, because sometimes I do that in my lessons and I don't know how to do it.
Okay, I'm sorry, say that again. I didn't catch the first part.
How to not post at canter.
How not to post at the canter?
Yeah.
So sometimes, especially on her
Is that like
pony.
the trainer?
On her,
Archie Cox, a very good friend of mine who's a trainer in California, he does that posting, and I'm like, Archie, why do you have all your people just posting cats? He likes it because he thinks he's creating the rhythm. Probably what's happening with you is because your heel needs to come down a little better, and you're just, your base of support is a little bit stiff, which is probably popping you up and down the tack. Again, riding without stirrups gets you a little bit more solid in the tack. Keeping those heels down and keeping your knees soft will help you. Like try not to pitch with your knees. Try to let your heel take the shock. And and just again looking up and just a lot of sometimes ponies that are a little rougher canter, it's easier to post. But I think it's just thinking about it, just working on that base of support. To me, if a rider's posting on the tack a little bit, some people do that to get the rhythm going. But as a judge, if it's done a lot, then it's very distracting as a judge to see a rider, moving all over in the tack when you're trying to watch the pony, or an equitation, then it's just, it's just too busy. I'll actually write busy on my card. So it's just a matter of practicing and thinking about it. The fact that you're aware of it, watching videos, and I'm a great believer in a monkey see, monkey do. In other words, watch videos of yourself, watch videos. Well, all those pony files, watch the kids like Tori Holden when she was a pony rider, and the kids that do well in the ponies. Watch videos, read books about it, and you can really learn a lot just by watching. And there's all kinds of videos on the USEF website on hunter derby finals, pony finals, all kinds of videos, and they are really good. But a lot of it, when a rider stays quiet in the tack, it's because he's got a very good base of support and good eye control. Those are the two important things: is your base of support, your eye control.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
I have a quick question that she didn't think of asking.
Sure.
She seems to struggle with keeping a good rhythm and consistent speed, and I think that's part of Arrow speeding up and slowing down was part of her too. Sometimes she struggles with it with her pony as well. And like when we go to a show, it takes a good 2 jumps into the course before she's like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be. And she doesn't really trust it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, she's just getting used to it. She's kind of new to jumping 2-3, which is what this is. And she's just getting used to it. And I didn't know if you have any tips to helping her find that and know where she's in the right spot and trust it.
Right. I'm a great believer on canning over poles, which is not easy, and putting a line up and you can do a whole course of little poles, and you can put the poles up, and basically what we're talking about, stride control, and pace control. So stride control and pace control, they kind of go hand in hand. So by putting some poles up, she can canter the poles, make 6 strides, down to the next pole. Canter the poles, make 7 strides. So she understands 7 is slower on a shorter step, and then she does the 6, which is a little bit lengthening of stride. So not so much getting quicker, but more pushing the pony and herself with lengthening and shortening it. And so just by cantering poles, where we're not always jumping, and you can canter poles every single day, because that's not a lot of stress on the pony jumping all the time. Every day you can canter poles. And you just make lines like that. You put a row of poles down. You put 3 poles down. So okay, do 4 strides, canter the pole. Do 5 strides, canter the pole. Now you're gonna add one. Do 6 strides, canter the pole. Do 7. You know what I'm saying? Just don't make it about 3 and 4. Make it more like 5 and 6 and 6 and 7 and 7 and 8, that sort of thing. And so just cantering poles is a lot to do with stride control and knowing what shortening and length is. Then once you actually have to gallop the line, so much of it depends on the pony. Some pony have shorter strides, and some pony have longer strides. I as a judge, I've often, especially with the smalls and the mediums, I have a real hard time. And obviously we hear stuff when we're sitting in the judges' booth. We can hear trainers saying, you've got to get that forward 6. You've got to get that forward 6. And they're sending the rider in on a pony that doesn't have that kind of stride. And you see those kids going flying down 6, where I'm having a heart attack because they're leaving so long. I am not one to penalize. I would rather see a rider go a little slower and add a stride, especially in the small division. Because to me, I'm all about safety, and the number one is safety with the especially the small and mediums. A lot of the largest go-like horses, anyways, but especially the small. If a line, if I see a line getting a little bit long on a lot of the ponies at 7 strides, if a pony does a really nice 8 and makes a quiet line, well, as soon as you add a stride, that's you can penalize. Not necessarily. What would I rather watch? A rider go down and make a nice 8 and jump safely and land and do a beautiful lead change, as far as going down and doing the 7, leaving long or leaving off one leg, or God forbid scaring the heck out of me. I'm going to penalize that because I'm going to put too fast or too much speed. So to me as a rider, if they can learn to handle their canter to the point that maybe they make an extra stride down the first line, I'd much rather see that than too much speed. But as far as controlling their speed, I think it's just a matter of just exercises, doing little X rails, like even just cross rails, cantering 7, now make 8. Now reverse it, canter 8, now make 7. Just understanding what's strong. Once they get stride control, pace kind of follows along behind it. The pace seems to work with stride control. So it's just same old thing. She's 10 years old. It's just practicing.
Yep. All right. Anything else, Brooklyn?
I have one last question.
Oh, sure.
How to get better ec on a green wobbly pony?
How to have better equitation on a green.
Wobbly, another one that. Well, you know what you can make. Obviously straightness. Always jump in the center of the jump. Always trying to ride straight lines. So once again, you can practice with poles. Just practice cantering down the line on straight lines. I had a very good pony, a Woodlands pony actually, that was very bad. I mean, she always cantered down there like a drunken soldier, even though she was so good at the jumps, and my little rider was very tiny on her. So we ended up. The main problem with this pony is that she wouldn't look down her lines because for some reason she had trouble jumping the line and looking to the next fence. So I spent the whole winter in our indoor, and I made lanes. So I took rails and I actually made a lane. So I would do 5 strides down the side of the arena, and I would actually it takes a lot of poles, and I would take poles or little bushes, and I would make a lane, and I would make Erin jump in and ride that. She had to ride a straight line down that lane, and before you know it, that pony looked down the lane, and then she won everything the next year. So just making a little lane, and you can make it, just do 2 X's, just 2 X's where you jump in, canter down on the right lead, stop, make a nice stop at the other end, reverse, canter back down the line on the left lead. So you go back and forth until you're really comfortable making straight lines. So just creating a lane. These are all exercises that you can do by creating a lane, because you might have a straight line, but your pony gets a little wobbly. Now, obviously, that also comes back to leg yields, where we use our lower leg if the pony drifts right. We've got our right leg on, pony drifts a little up to the outside. We've got, most young ponies will fall to the inside when they're doing, around the corners. So that's a lot of cantering down the line, down your lane, cantering down the lane, come back to a trot or even a little halt, make them move, or a walk, make them move off your inside leg and canter again. So they learn to land, move slightly, not way out, but just move slightly out to get that lead change or to get that downward transition, reverse and canter back down the line. So making a lane really helps rider and pony to canter straight lines.
Sounds
Okay.
good. Does that make sense?
Anything else?
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. And anything else, Amanda? You're all set with questions?
Yeah, I think we're good. Thank you so much.
Okay, I hope I was able to help you. And like I said, you've got my number. Don't ever hesitate to shoot me a text with any questions. I'm always available. Let me know. If I don't answer, it's probably because I'm in the judge's booth.
Okay.
But anyways, I'm more than happy. As much as I judge, I was a trainer for 40-something years, so I'm happy to help in any way.
Well, I appreciate it.
Where do you live? Where are you calling from?
Hudson.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
North Carolina. Okay, so I'm gonna be in North Carolina. Very good friends of mine live in Raleigh.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'm gonna be down there judging the show in November in Raleigh.
Oh, okay.
Raleigh in November.
We go to Raleigh to show often, so we may be there.
Okay, well if you're there, please come up and say hello to me. I'm not behind a judge. You can't come and So please pop in and say hi.
Definitely will. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Okay, talk to you later. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That
Well,
was
shoot.
cool. I was waiting the whole